Interface Video, in cooperation with Fairfield Federal, presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fair Hope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Frankie Smith Funeral Home, Fairfield County Adam H., Dagger Law, and the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities.
Hello friends, and welcome to Fairfield Today. I'm your host Paul Jass, and thank you for joining us. We're down here in the beautiful lobby of Fairfield Federal downtown, where they're celebrating 125 years of banking, which if you haven't heard by now, the Quasquicentennial. I've said it enough, I can kind of say it almost without thinking about it now. Quasquicentennial, 125 years. And of course things have changed a little bit for them, as they have for everybody, as they had much bigger plans for 2020, but things kind of got pared down, as they did for most people with the pandemic going on. Second half of the show today, we'll talk with Travis Markwood. Travis is, of course, the president of the Lancaster and Fairfield County Area Chamber of Commerce. Talk about him. They recently had their virtual award ceremony. We'll talk about that, how that went, and about things still coming up for the Chamber of Commerce. But our first half of the show today, it's always fun to have new people on, and people that we haven't chatted with previously, and that's where we are with this one. If you've seen anything in the paper, a few weeks ago they had a nice article in there. I think Jeff Barron wrote it about. It's called Max Venue. It's out in the old Lynch Lumber Company out on East Main Street. If you go out East Main near McDonald's and Totten's Carpet, it's kind of right behind Totten's Carpet. Now, is that on Chestnut? Is that?
It's on Fair Avenue.
Fair, okay.
1450.
Okay. Well, let me introduce my guest here. Pete Swartz is the kind of the entrepreneur and the guy that got all this going. He's on my far right here. This is Roger Mace, who's really the manager, sales manager, and kind of partner in crime through all this as we get it going. And Pete, we'll start with you on this. I know for years they've looked for some kind of music venue to go, and I think pretty much they looked downtown, but there was always parking and money issues, and where are you going to build it, how are you going to fund it, and things like this. So something like this came up out there, and I was fortunate enough to go out and talk to Pete about this, and I got the tour out there. It is a remarkable complex out there, and things you've got going on. From where it came from, I believe something like 20 years sitting empty to where it is now. I mean, it is remarkable, the changes you've made.
Yeah, we put a lot of time and money and energy into place. How we started with the Max Venue, the mayor, Dave Shuffler, a good friend of mine, and he was talking about every time they have a concert, when it rains, they lose their money and there's nowhere to go. So actually, we built a venue for the city to use, so they don't lose any money.
Sure.
And so what we're going to do now is keep it open on Fridays and all through the summer. And if they have a venue and it rains, they get to use. They'll move down there for free, and it's for the city to use.
So normally the bandstand, of course, everybody knows, is right behind us here in the gazebo. That's where they normally have the concerts. But as Pete said, there's rain, and then that's gone. It's wiped out. Well, now there's some talk about moving them out there on those Friday nights, and actually some talk, I think it's in the future sometime, but maybe doing them 52 weeks a year. And I know that's out there in the future, but I think you and Mike Tharp might get this working.
Mike's my buddy,
yeah,
and we think on the same lines, and he's so impressed with the place. He would love to have every one of them down there all year long.
Well, it's an impressive place. And Roger, when I look at that, you're the sales manager and kind of one of the guys, and we talked about endless possibilities here as kind of being your byword as you look at this. When I look at the things just for concerts, and I mean for weddings, class reunions, Lancaster Festival, I just think there's just no end to the possibilities that place could become.
Yes, all kind of possibilities. I know that we're looking to not only help the community be part of the community, but working with Mike Tharp, Lancaster Festival.
Great guy.
Yeah,
Parks.
Friday night bandstand, they will never have to cancel any activity now. We're also looking at maybe working with a local high school, maybe a couple of local high schools wanting to have prom.
Sure.
So being a retired educator, I'm excited about that, to get him in there and so forth. But we're going to have a lot of different, events in there. We want to look at having maybe some boat shows, some RV shows, Harley Davidson Day, some sneaker conventions, just all kind of things that would also not only bring people to the community, but Lancaster, but also help those in need.
And Pete, we talked about this, about being what a great place, but this really kind of evolved out of something that you do. You use containers. That's really been your mainstay. That's where you've made your money, and somehow making these big containers that look like, I don't know if they look like railroad cars or semi-trucks or something big, but when you get done with them, it's just remarkable the change in that.
Max Container Options is our manufacturing container company. We take 40-foot, 20-foot shipping containers, make shipping container homes, bunker homes, storefronts, anything that you can imagine we make with those. And now in the Max venue, everything in the venue is made of shipping containers. Wow. We have our stage, the backstage, the VIP seating, everything is shipping containers. So it's our showroom plus venue. And everything that we have in there in the Max venue, we have a nonprofit. 20% will go directly to our nonprofit, which is called the Numbered. .org.
And I don't know if I'll talk to you or Roger, who would be best to talk about this, but about that, this is an opportunity for perhaps some individuals who've had a challenging past to kind of turn things around. When I was out there's a lot of welding going on, a lot of things going on, but these are, and you can help me on this, if these are what, prisoners that have gotten out and maybe from CTC, the halfway place, and you place them in a job that has given them the possibility for an unbelievable future.
We have a company called Lincoln Staff, which is a staffing agency, and everyone we hire comes from the halfway house. Wow. So they have a 6-month period there when they're with us. We have weekly leadership meetings. We train them in either welding, fabricating, electrical, plumbing, anything to do with skilled trades. We teach skilled trades, and when their 6 months is up from the halfway house, either they can stay with us or we can help get them a job.
Job placement.
Job placement.
Sure.
And our number one goal is to help those guys with prison numbers.
Just to take it a step further, coming in to this, the Max Container Options, these individuals are hard workers. A lot of those have had success stories where they've started their own business. We use those businesses. Yeah. It's an outstanding program.
Talking with Pete Swartz on my far right, who's kind of the entrepreneur and the guiding guy behind all this, and then Roger Mace beside me. And Roger, we were talking, this is a kind of a second different career for you. As I understand, you came out of the Gallipolis school system as a school superintendent, and now you're sales manager out here at Max Venue. That's a little bit of change.
Yes, it's very ironic, totally different profession. Retired as a superintendent, and ran into Pete here, and I was doing some sales with Zimmerman School Equipment, and came for an interview, and here I sit right now.
I got the feeling it's hard to say no. When Pete talks, I think most people listen.
Very much so. But what's really exciting is we've had a couple events already scheduled. We had the 4th of July event, and we were so excited. One of the big bands that was going to perform is Bad Influence.
Oh, they're well known in this area.
Well known, and they were going to draw a nice crowd for us.
Oh, boy.
Unfortunately, because of the COVID, we had to cancel that.
It's changed.
But we are looking to have a New Year's Eve.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that. I mean, maybe that's the first will that be the first really major event that you've kind of got scheduled?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So coming up here in just a month or so, a month and a half away, and looking at how you've beautified that place. I know there's a Columbus skyline out there. I think there's a Lancaster skyline. You've got the big stage and the VIP section. If you max it out, not during COVID times, but if you max it out, how many people would you feel comfortable putting in there?
They say we can have around 3,500.
3,500 people. That's remarkable. And now during COVID times, it's a fourth of that, or
if we had to do social distancing, we could put 400. But hopefully by New Year's Eve, we won't have to. We could have a little more.
I imagine you're kind of fielding a lot of calls now. People want to know what this place is. they've heard about it, they might want to see it, but they use it, like you say, for conventions, for just proms, for weddings. Just, I guess the sky's the limit.
Yes, we've had a lot of people inquire in regards to. I know we're working with Big Brother, Big Sister. We're going to be doing something in February.
That's a great group out there. Jill and Pugh and that group out there, they're great people.
We really want to work with them and maybe do a couple nonprofit items. But I would like to put a plug in on New Year's Eve.
Yes.
Our lineup is Connor Stemwell, a young upcoming artist coming out of Logan. That's going to start off that evening on New Year's Eve from
country?
6.
Pop?
Just
anything.
Okay. He's really good, but we're going from 6 p.m. to about 1 in the morning. But then a dueling piano group that's going to be that evening. Also with John Anthony, the drinking band. And then we're going to end the evening with about 2.5 hours of the Conspiracy Band. So we're very excited about that.
Now, how do people make reservations or find out more on this?
Next week, we're going to start opening it up to sell some tickets.
Okay.
We'll be sending stuff out on Facebook and social media.
All the social media places.
To how to obtain those tickets.
And I only got a couple minutes here left, Pete, and I want to talk about, I know just, again, the mayor, Dave Scheffler, superintendent of the parks, Mike Tharp, they're very excited about what your business can bring to the community here in terms of other things you've got going on, and you've got plans to do so many more things, but just how you've turned that place around here in just a relatively short period of time is, I think the city's really excited with, things like the festival and working with them and the bandstand and things that you could do.
We can do virtually anything, and one of the things I talk a lot about is we also make swimming pools out of containers, and we can put sand all over the floor. In the wintertime, bring in our 40-foot swimming pools and have like beach parties in there in the middle of winter. I mean, we can have horses come in for horse weddings, anything, whatever your mind can think of, we can do.
You're not going to be in a Speedo, are you?
Not me, man.
This is TV. I mean, I don't think any of us needs to see that, do we, Roger? No. I'm included myself in that.
Yeah.
So Pete Swartz, who's the entrepreneur behind all this, Roger Mace, who's the sales manager, and again, they'll all be all over social media. It's called Max Venue. Look for it. I guess the big New Year's Eve thing is the one coming up. Could be anything goes out there. We expect to hear some great things. So, gee, fellas, thanks for what you're doing to help the community.
Well,
we appreciate it very much.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, and Bad Influence will make it out there again.
That's
They'll
right.
get out there. Bob Competti and the boys will make it out.
They'll be there many times.
Very good. Glad to have Max Venue with the big concert venue that's coming up there. And we'll be back with Travis Markwood in just a moment.
The Frankie Smith Funeral Home and Crematory in Lancaster and the Johnson Smith Funeral Home in Baltimore have a long and wonderful history of serving our community. Feel free to give us a call at 740-653-0652. Stop in and see us at either of our two locations, 405 North Columbus Street in Lancaster and 207 South Main Street in Baltimore. Respect for tradition, regard for change.
Dagger Law has been part of the Lancaster community for more than 110 years. This is where we live and work. You'll see us at festivals, sporting events, and all around town. We consider our clients as friends, and we walk alongside you through challenging times. Whether you're a growing business, a changing family, facing litigation, planning your future, or dealing with land issues, we're right here. We are local. We are trusted. We are experienced. Dagger Law.
Fairfield Medical goes the extra mile to give attention to their patients, to their guests, anybody that comes within those doors.
There's no question that the staff there are all personally invested in seeing that I got the best care possible.
The staff was so comforting. I felt like she was in the best hands.
They basically gave me a second chance at life, and I'm going to make the most of it.
Fairfield Federal. When it comes to our customers and our community, we go above and beyond to help. Our people make the difference.
We were retiring from Tucson, Arizona, and we made a retirement trip out around Ohio, having decided that's where we wanted to be. And we came across this town called Lancaster, and we fell in love with the downtown area where the fountain is and the memorials and the flags and all this stuff. And I looked around and I said, there's our bank right there.
There's something to be said about a community bank in your hometown.
Right. If you live in the community, you should do business in the community as much as possible. So it makes sense to bank with the community bank where you live.
Fairfield Federal is the bank to be at. If you live in this town, or any town actually, you want to bank at a local home bank. And the employees are happy here, they're conversant, customer service is through the roof. There's nothing more you could ask for.
Personal or business banking, whatever you need, we take it seriously because we know you do. Stop by today at any of our 3 locations and see why the difference is clear. Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan specializes in banking that revolves around you.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hello friends, and welcome to Fairfield Today. We're glad you're back with us. I want to thank the boys from Max Venue coming in here, and a pretty exciting time livening things up here with lots of things that got going on out there on East Main Street with that big Max Venue opportunity out there. Thanks to good folks here at Fairfield Federal too. We mentioned their Quasqua Centennial. We're glad they could be with us and always be our sponsor here, so we thank them for that. Turn now, as we mentioned, to Travis Markwood, President of the Lancaster Fairfield Chamber of Commerce. Travis, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Exciting time right now, and I don't think any show I've done since we've come back for several months now, we always kind of begin with a COVID update because that's really what rules the roost on any nonprofit, any business, any venture in Lancaster and Fairfield County, and now that's how it goes. And I'm sure it's affected your business and your clientele tremendously.
It has, and you know, we've run the gamut of what our members are experiencing. You know, back in March when stay-at-home orders came out, we were scrambling. At that point, we served our members mostly from a information distribution kind of role. You know, as information came either from state officials, small business administration, any resources we could find.
What was open, what could be open, how you would open.
And not to mention where the resources were. You know, there were a lot of different kind of loans and payroll protection programs, and so we tried to get that information out to our members as quickly as it came to us. And then we kind of said, what do we do next? Because we can, we're pushing information, and we decided that it might be an effective effort to. We've got a staff of 4, and we've got 550 members. We divided our list up, and we decided to call
divide and conquer
every single one of our 550 members. So it took us a little over a month. Each day we would get on the phone and just call our list.
Nose to the grindstone, keep going.
And that proved to be a
they
worthwhile effort. Yeah, not only appreciate it, but we were able to then actually connect resources depending on what that individual
big
member
businesses,
meant.
small mom and pop places.
Everybody's experiencing something a little different.
Yes.
And they still are. And I think we're certainly in a better place than we were last spring, since everybody's at least operational.
Yeah. And they've
but
learned
the
to
effects
cope
of
with
this are still
who knows
here.
How long, right?
Now the real challenge, and I know we're going to talk about a seminar that we've got coming up, but the real challenge for our businesses are how do I navigate the next 6 months? How do you plan? It's really difficult to.
Because now as things are tightening up a little bit again, we're starting. I don't know if that's a second wave, but we're talking about maybe going backwards before we go forwards.
Let's hope not. But it's very difficult for our businesses to plan financially, resource-wise. Number of employees that they need for the next 6 to 12 months. It's very difficult.
Yeah. So. One of the things I wanted to talk about, I noticed a few weeks ago, you had it now. Normally it was in January. We always look forward to the big chamber event. It was an annual event, so well attended, really one of the premier events in Lancaster and Fairfield County. Right. And this year you made the decision you're going to move it because you're sick of fighting just sometimes horrible weather in January out there. You just didn't know. But little did you know that when you say, we'll move it, little did you know what that meant.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times in the course of months did you say, not now, we'll have to push it back a little bit more?
Yeah, we had originally planned for the first time in decades to move the annual meeting and trade show and awards program.
It's always had at Fisher, recently, Fisher Catholic. Sure.
To May 8th. And we were excited about that. We were going to do it when the weather was a little nicer. of course, May came along and we knew we weren't going to be able to do that. So we set at that point a backup date in September. We rescheduled Fisher Catholic for the middle of September, and as we progressed through the summer, we realized that wasn't going to happen either. So we had to settle on, basically doing a virtual awards program, which we completed last week.
Well, and we want to talk about that again. This is really one of the premier events where you recognize businesses of the year, small businesses, individuals for what they've done for companies, and some special awards. And I guess we look at this. The Chairman's Award, which is one of the real big awards, went to the community CIC, the Community Improvement District, just for the work they've done.
Yeah, this organization has been in the community since 1970, so for a long, long time, and they served for a long time as really the economic development entity for our community. As the years went by, economic development trends changed, and we have an economic development director for the city now, and Mike Pettit. We have an economic development director for the county. We have chambers of commerce. There's lots of entities doing this. We have the Port Authority. A decision was made in the last year by the members and the board of directors to actually dissolve the CIC after 50 years of serving the community.
Tremendous work.
And because what we were seeing is a big overlap in efforts when it comes to economic development. And so instead of managing an organization that still has to pay for a lot of services like board of directors insurance, and there are costs that go along with running an organization. Yeah. So we said, you know what, we can make this more efficient. So the CIC transferred its land assets in the industrial park, as well as its financial assets, to the Lancaster Port Authority, who will now act as the lead entity for those efforts.
Well deserved on that.
Yeah.
And the nonprofit of the year is one of the groups, Corey Schoonover and the Humane Society out there. They do a terrific job.
They do, and this was our first ever nonprofit of the year. We got a lot of nominations for small and large business, and a lot of times it would be a nonprofit.
Sure.
And we said, these are really two different awards.
Yeah, right.
Because a nonprofit's mission is usually different than a for-profit.
One doesn't cover all.
Right. So we developed the nonprofit of the year. This was the first year for it.
Good call.
Yeah, and we were really excited to be able to award Fairfield Area Humane Society. They've just made tremendous strides out there in what they do for
remarkable what they've done out there.
Yeah.
And one of the usually the most secretive award, one that comes out in that evening, is the Floyd Wolf Award. I remember Floyd Wolf, what a tremendous individual he was here. But it went to Dave Levacy, and I know how involved Dave was, not only as a commissioner, and he has a big job there, but when this all hit several years ago with Buckeye Lake, he took that bull by the horns and kind of ramrodded that through.
Yeah, I learned a lot about Dave just from the nomination that was written for him. And as I was writing the script for this event, I'm just writing highlights in Dave's career and some of the things that he's done, and I thought, I could just keep going and going.
You won't have time to speak, Dave.
And so I even said in the script, his accolades are many, much too many of them to include tonight. Sure. But very deserving individual. He's done so much for our community, and he's been a great leader.
And we'll mention too the large business of the year, Gorsuch community of companies, and I think back to Leonard's father, who started this so many years ago. And so often you see sons and grandchildren of businesses, they don't do a very good job of shepherding the business. You see a lot of business, but this is a business that I'm sure his father, Leonard's father, never had any idea. Now his daughter, Jennifer's kind of in charge of things. It's really a remarkable business to have right here on the west side in Lancaster.
No question. They're really recognized throughout the state as being a leader in housing development, and they've done a lot of great projects. And some of their projects here in our community are just amazing when you think of projects like the Pearl House and some of the housing that they're doing, at the
East School now. That's changed remarkably at completion,
and they're about to break ground, I believe, on the Gateway site, which is the old factory site here at the end of
We're all waiting for that
Main Street. So that's going to be fantastic. But couldn't be a more deserving company for Large Business of the Year. they've been doing a lot for our community for a long time.
Some of the other ones, we'll just kind of get through those. A small business of the year was Bob's Backyard Barbecue. Wonderful business. Everybody
family
loves
run,
going there.
great couple that runs that bar, Bob and Maggie.
Turned it into a great, from just a food truck down to this, and done a great job downtown. Brett Markwood Award went to Scott Cox.
Scott Cox, he actually just recently retired this summer, in between when his nomination was written, and but we were really glad to recognize Scott. He was one of the few officers at the Lancaster Police Department that were friends with Brett Markwood at the time, that is still there, working in the department. And he was actually on duty that night. And
meant a lot to him, I'm sure.
So that was a special award.
And then Colin Hedico with the Destination Downtown. He was given the Young Professional of the Year award. Colin's a hard worker, and it's a great DDL. It does a great job. And again, small staff, but boy, he's worked even as a volunteer. Came on, and now he just does great work.
I get to witness his hard work every day, just being across the hall from me, and he does a fantastic job. Couldn't be a more deserving young professional.
Sure. Last in terms of the awards, was the Tammy Nooser Customer Service Award, always a big one. Rachel Schlarb from WLOH.
WLOH, yeah. She was just ecstatic to receive this award. I had a lot of fun when I got to call her and tell her that she had received this, and it's a special award for us at the Chamber, so
Tammy was
she's
special.
Very deserving.
Yeah, that's a great one. And you mentioned this a little bit earlier. Now you've worked through kind of the initial where we've got us to this point with the pandemic, but now where do your businesses, where does the Chamber lead going forward? And you've got some alliances set up here to kind of take that to the next level.
We do. We have a lot of great partnerships throughout the county with other entities, other Chamber of Commerce's, other economic development efforts, and so we're continuing to look for ways to serve our membership by providing resources, by providing training, in any way that we can. And we're actually getting ready to also do another round of those calls that we talked about last spring.
Really? Going to hit them again?
We're going to hit our members again and say, hey, how are you doing now? And what can we do for you moving forward? And what do you need? And that'll help us start to build some programs for our members for next year.
And again, I think you've indicated that in our earlier talk. As you talk to your members, not only just kind of engaging them, but you found out, again, there's no one size fits all. There's mom and pops and smalls and nonprofits, and everybody has a story to tell, and how they can be helped by the services that you do and that you can get to them.
Yep. The one thing we did learn over the last 6-7 months, we have an extremely resilient business community, and they not only are resilient and have weathered the storm, been very tough through this, and tried to do the right thing, keeping people employed as much as they can. But they've also given back a lot. There's been some community funds that have been created to help with COVID relief, and I've been really surprised at how the business communities come together.
And one thing I've noticed, kind of right behind us here on Broad Street, even during this, there's been businesses open. That coffee shop in the old Shaw building, El City, or I forget kind of the name of that, and then the bistro right beside it are opening up, kind of in the middle of all this. So as you talk about great businesses, they're pushing forward.
Yeah, and it is encouraging to see investment happening. If you talk to Mike Pettit, the pipeline as far as projects go is pretty strong.
Good.
People are investing right now, and
Bodes well.
And that's good.
Yes, that's good for the future.
Yeah.
Travis Markwood with the Lancaster Fairfield County Chamber of Commerce, the president. Always enjoy these updates. Congratulations for finally getting your virtual award show in. It took a while. Hopefully next year you'll be back on track. You never know.
Not the way we wanted to do it, but we were happy to be able to honor those.
And you've learned some things on how to push forward, and if we change somehow, you adapt. I guess that's it.
That's right.
And good luck on the economic development in the future. We're in good hands with the job you and your staff do there at the Chamber of Commerce. We appreciate it very much.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Thank you.
Travis Markwood, the president of the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for joining us on Fairfield Today.
Interface Video, in cooperation with Fairfield Federal, presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fair Hope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Frankie Smith Funeral Home, Fairfield County Adam H., Dagger Law, and the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities.